Message to the banking elite: trick or treat. It is going to be an especially haunting Halloween for the Khazarian mafia banking elite, because they have been given an October 31st deadline to return the gold they stole or face being systematically hunted down and exterminated, say Asian Secret Society, CIA, and White Dragon Society sources. After the deadline, bounties of gold will be placed on senior bankers, starting with the heads of the EU Central Bank, the Bank of Japan, and the Federal Reserve Board, and the BIS, the sources say. The White Dragon Society (WDS) has offered the Khazarian mafia a way out of this situation. All they have to do is monetize, in a constructive and reality-based manner, $40 trillion worth of 1,934 Henry Morgenthau bonds to finance the establishment of meritocratic future planning agency. This would be enough to end poverty, stop environmental destruction, and finance human expansion into the universe. The alternative is death for all the Khazarian gangsters involved in central bank fraud and Babylonian debt slavery. In the US, meanwhile, Pentagon sources say, U.S. President Donald Trump had a briefing and dinner with top military brass at the White House on October 23rd in a blunt message to Israel, the Democrats, the deep state, and its invading army from Mexico not to steal the midterm elections. There is also a major push going on to take down the rogue regime of Saudi Arabia, multiple sources agree. The murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi is, despite attempts by the Khazarians to distract it with false flags, etc., turning out to have been a fatal mistake. The heads of state of Russia, Germany, and France were in Istanbul last week to meet with Turkish President Recep Erdogan to discuss this murder and the future of the rogue Zionist Saudi Israeli regime, according to Russian sources. CIA sources try to convince this writer that the murder never actually took place by sending the following statement about a summit to which the US, Israel, and China were not invited. They were there to discuss the Khashoggi matter. They are trying to figure out how to release the truth about Khashoggi. He is not dead. He is also not available for anyone to meet. The heads of the special powers that be US, Russia, China, Turkey, France, Germany, Saudi Arabia, and Israel know exactly where he is. Let's just say Khashoggi fucked them all. He turned their own unacknowledged special application program weapon against them. He had the access codes. The Russians responded by sending the horrific photographs below the Khashoggi's dismembered body, with his face peeled up. Warning: the photographs in these clips are extremely gruesome. It seems the sane worshipping Khazarians have a thing about peeling faces of people while they are still alive. It is apparently intended to harvest the maximum amount of pain from the victim as a sacrifice to Baals, Jewish WDS sources say. However, the CIA source, when confronted with the photographs, insisted his information was correct and said the photos could be faked. He said DNA testing and comparison of dental records were needed. In any case, Pentagon sources say this horrific act has led to a snowballing global Saudi boycott that may include not just EU captains of industry, Airbus, Siemens, ABB, and EDF, but Asian giants Samsung, Hyundai, Sumitomo, and it may progress into an EU arms embargo where even Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is under pressure to cancel a $158 arms deal approved by his predecessor Stephen Harper. Also, with the EU Parliament voting 325-1 for an EU arms embargo and a German Chancellor Angela Merkel leading, Trump may be forced to use the EU arms embargo on Saudi Arabia to push for a UN arms embargo, the sources say. Khashoggi was murdered because he was about to expose Saudi Israelis' use of chemical weapons in Yemen, according to the Express newspaper in England. There is now a big push by the Khazarians to get Khashoggi out of the news cycle, the Pentagon sources say. They add that the alleged murder of 11 Jews at a synagogue in Pittsburgh last week was a false flag, failed Hail Mary to get Trump to ignore Jewish vote fraud or migrant caravan back gun control, and give Jewish community centers taxpayers money for security and establish Jewish victimhood ahead of 9/11 truth and the Gaza invasions. However, my college friend Christopher North happens to live a few blocks from the shooting, and he believes it really happened and knows the families of some of the victims. He called the local blood bank and was able to confirm there was a huge call for the blood from local hospitals after the shooting. Nonetheless, former CIA agent Robert David Stilly notes that, as we now know from a review of all past false flags, the Zionists are more than happy to kill their own Argentina Jewish Community Center, as well as Americans, USS Cole, USS Liberty, 9/11. Their objective, to legalize the censorship at Google Gestapo, where anyone who questions anything is considered anti-Semitic. Hopefully, soon the Jewish people will be freed from 3,000 plus years of Babylonian captivity and will no longer have to be murdered by their secret master for propaganda reasons. Meanwhile, a member of an Asian secret society had the following advice for Westerners fighting to free themselves from the Khazarians. They always present you with a duality, either fascism or communism, and there is no other choice. Either we let the Chinese communists take over, or we are going to be slaves of fascist Europe, he says. It is 2018, 200 years since the Waterloo stunt. And I certainly hope the light side has learned something useful by now, he added. The source said, as soon as the US starts arresting the likes of Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama as a show of good faith on the part of the US, the Asian will send tons of gold under US Navy escort to be piled up on the front lawn of the White House for the world to see. Trump can issue new currency from the gold, he promises. He was advised to take a look at Guantanamo Bay in Cuba to see for himself that facilities have been built for huge numbers of prisoners. We are now hearing that the arrest will begin after the November 6 midterm elections. This is likely to be coordinated with a Russian move to shut down Khazarian regime in the Ukraine. But all we can say is that there is definitely operational silence in both the US and Russia, indicating that some big coordinated operation is taking place. However, the CIA source mentioned above said that many of the criminals that people want arrested are already dead, and all that they will be able to arrest will be computer graphics or clones. Maybe, but one criminal who can be arrested is Satan-worshipping Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu went last week to Oman hoping the Sultan would provide him with protection from imminent arrest, Mossad sources say. Ross Dry and Peter Free mentioned Akali family sources say they are hoping to, as the Japanese expression goes, cut off the lizard's tail to escape by sacrificing Netanyahu and the fake Mohammed bin Salman in order to protect themselves. This means special forces will have to raid the California tech companies like Google, Facebook, PayPal, and the big pharmaceutical companies as well as the central banks if they are to end this. It would also help if we can end the imprisonment on false charges of the fellow freedom fighters such as Winston Shroud. Another thing to keep in mind is that, according to the CIA sources, many of the elite are faking their own deaths in the hopes of evading justice or revenge. The source says the reported death of the Thai billionaire Vijay Siwadanapipa in the helicopter crash is an example. Vijay was not on the helicopter. Read the article carefully. A person close to the family reported the information to the PPC. He has now become another one of the elite to disappear from the scene. He is not liked by many of Thailand's old money clan in Bangkok. A good way to go off radar for good.